Welcome to episode 3 of our Mega Smash Poll Ultimate results. If you haven't seen the previous 2 episodes, we would recommend checking them out. Really, watch the series in order because we'll be assuming you have. Don't worry, this video isn't going anywhere, so you have time. All caught up? Good stuff. Now let's talk about stages. While Super Smash Bros. Ultimate didn't bring back every stage from past Super Smash Bros. Titles, Poker Floats, our beloved, it did have a lot of stages, more than they had characters even, and we wanted to know your favourite. Unlike with the character section, we didn't ask for least favourites for stages, so the list is a lot simpler, but we still wanted to know why these stages were your favourite, and we'll be sharing the most common reason as well in a top 20 list this time. Before we get to that though, we had a handful of other questions surrounding the stage selection in this game, as well as around the music and rules, that we should cover now before getting into the meat of the video. So for starters, how satisfied were all of you with the amount of stages in this game and the choices of stages? Unsurprisingly, players were immensely satisfied with what this game had on offer, with 30.9% giving it a 9 out of 10 and 29.46% giving top marks. There were a few people disappointed, 1.29% were very unsatisfied, but this could be placed on the lack of new stages pre-DLC and some fan favourites like Poker Floats or Rainbow Road not returning. What was more universally satisfying, however, was the music selection. The game has over 1,000 music tracks to listen to, and almost 50% of respondents gave this a 10 out of 10, completely satisfied. The vast majority of votes were in the 9 to 10 range, and it was well deserved, unless there was a song you really wanted that wasn't included for some reason, or I suppose if you're a Final Fantasy or Sonic fan, as those series definitely lacked, especially pre-DLC. I can't imagine what there is to dislike here. Next up, we have the rules, and this was actually a big change in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Not only did this title introduce new rules like the hazard toggle and stage morph feature, but it redid the order that players set up their games. In the past, it used to be that you pick a character, then a stage, and changing rules was an optional thing done on the character select screen. But in Ultimate, you now pick the rules first, either making new rules or picking a saved setup. Then you pick a stage, and finally a character. This was done because the stage choice and rule sets will likely influence which character you want to play as, and not place anyone at a disadvantage. It was a clever change, and one that 68.8% of you prefer over the previous way of doing things. However, there were some that liked having stages before characters, but didn't like that the rules came first overall, and would have preferred rules to go back to being set up as they were in previous games. It was only 7.39% of you, but I was one of them, so I'm including it here anyway. I'm making this video, I can do what I want. Going back to the hazard toggle and stage morph, we also wanted to know if these were features players used or not, either all the time, some of the time, or never. For the former, it was overwhelmingly sometimes, with 54.76%. It looks like most people did it on a stage-by-stage basis, or just like jumping between competitive and casual play. 29.22% then went for the always option, while 16.02% never turned hazards off. They loved the chaos. As for stage morph, this feature had players pick 2 stages that it would then randomly swap between during gameplay. This one wasn't as overwhelming, with 45.78% going for sometimes, and 40.67% never turning it on. It was only 13.54% that always had stage morph on. More of you chaos lovers out there, I bet. But that does it for all of the extra questions for stages. So let's move on to the top 20. Why a top 20 and not 30 this time? Well, there are a lot more ties with stages, but the top 20 only has one tie in it, so it's clearer which stages here are more beloved. Remember, if you want to see all the results anyway, there will be a link to our website in the description, so check it out after the video. Without further ado, let's start with number 20. First up, we have the Kalos Pokemon League. It was the Pokemon Stadium archetype of Smash Wii U, and is probably one of the most visually striking and beautiful stages in the game. The stage has several hazards that aren't too obnoxious and are easily telegraphed to the player, but with Ultimate, the option of a hazard toggle was added, and this allowed Kalos Pokemon League to become competitively viable, making it even more of a fan favourite. From one Pokemon League to another, the Unova Pokemon League first appeared in Smash 3DS and represented one of the most memorable parts of one of the best Pokemon games. The HD glow-up it got in Ultimate was fantastic, making it easier to read some of the hazards that would trigger from Reshiram and Zekrom. What's more, the stage itself has a great layout with some good visual design showing how the stage will be affected throughout the fight. It's Super Mario Maker! One of the most unique stages in Super Smash Bros., and it was added as DLC to Smash 4 to promote the upcoming game at the time. It has a really cool gimmick, both mechanically with the different possible layouts, and is visually fun, swapping between the 4 2D Mario art styles, giving us our only Super Mario Bros. 3 visual. The stage changing every fight is a cool idea, and it's not chaotic or disruptive to the battle, making it a lot of fun. A Melee classic, Congo Falls returned in Ultimate and looked better than ever. From the lush jungle trees to the gorgeous water and overall great aesthetic, this stage became the definition of a glow-up. Not to mention, it's a super fun casual stage with a gimmick that isn't intrusive in the slightest. An old favourite for many, especially all the Majora's Mask fans in the audience, the Great Bay is another Melee original that got a huge glow-up in Ultimate. The textures are great, and all the details in both the background and foreground, and even off-screen with the heart container, show that a lot of love went into portraying this one. It also has Tingle as a hazard, and who doesn't like Tingle? The best level from the original Super Smash Bros. On Nintendo 64, Hyrule Castle is a perfect stage for 4-player battles. It's the perfect size, being not so massive that it's obnoxious, but not so small that it's chaotic. It's just right. There's a lot of nostalgia to be had for many when it comes to this level, and the little bits of chaos that happen, like the tornado, add just the right amount of spice for casual fun. The ultimate casual stage, WarioWare Inc. is a super unique level with a microgame mechanic that can give the players buffs and debuffs depending on their involvement. It has some great visuals and music that accurately represent the series it's from, and if you did turn off hazards, then it suddenly becomes a great competitive stage with a simple and non-intrusive layout. The only Splatoon level in the game, and so obviously enjoyed by the series fans, Moray Tower was an interesting choice to represent that game, but it adds with it a unique level layout not seen in the series before. It also has some great visuals, especially when the Splatfest variant plays. It's all just really cool. And we return to Pokemon. The original Pokemon Stadium of Melee was one of the first levels to change its layout throughout the battle, and these changes were very simple, not being too intrusive or obnoxious to fight around. The changing stage kept players on their toes, and if you did turn hazards off, the flat default stage was great for competitive play. Just edging out over its predecessor, Pokemon Stadium 2 is loved for many of the same reasons as the first one. The changing layout mechanic is simple and cool and keeps players on their toes. What managed to push it over into 11th place for Ultimate, however, is the hazard toggle, as the default layout was perfect for competition, but it was brought down by slightly intrusive hazards. With those no longer an issue, it rose in popularity. It's top 10 time, and we start with another Melee favourite, Foreside. A lot of Earthbound fans wanted to see Foreside return, as many saw it as the more visually interesting Earthbound stage, taking place over a nighttime cityscape. Ultimate's rendition is even more spectacular and detailed, and with the stage having a good layout and hazards that don't completely disrupt gameplay, it became a stage of choice for several of you out there. It's our first third-party stage, and a simple one at that. Midgar has the same level layout as Battlefield, which may disappoint some, but for competitive players, it's greatly appreciated. And it's not just a clone of Battlefield, because it has the summons to add a bit of spice to a battle. Each summon is a great reference to the Final Fantasy series, many Smash fans' favourite franchise of all time, and the stage itself is just visually pleasing, giving a good view of the iconic Midgar city. Our first and only tie in the top 20, it's time to go back to the Earthbound series and look at not only the most popular stage from that franchise, but also the most popular stage from Super Smash Bros. For 3DS. Magicant is chock full of references to the first two Mother games, from the Flying Men to Brick Road, and now in HD it all looks gloriously detailed, a pink paradise receiving a well-deserved glow up. Also coming in 7th place, it's another new level with the Great Plateau Tower from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's a simple stage with a decent gimmick that isn't too intrusive. In fact, it offers two different layouts which both have benefits to a battle. However, the main reason many enjoyed this stage was the scenery, as its massive open look at the world of Hyrule behind it made many fans feel like they were fighting in Breath of the Wild itself, which really is what these stages should be doing. It's time for a Super Smash Bros. Original and a classic stage for the franchise, Battlefield. The default arena, it is just a fun and simple stage for battles to take place on, and many fans think this is the best looking version of Battlefield in the series. It's pretty while not being too distracting or taking players out of combat. Also, you can listen to every song in the game on this stage, which is a huge boon. Top 5 time, and we begin with the definitive multiplayer arena. Fun in 1v1 or even 8-player free-for-alls, Temple is a fan favourite stage from Melee that is just the right size for large-scale combat, with several interesting level sections that can force players to change up their battle plan depending on where you end up fighting. In Ultimate, this stage is at its best, looking better than ever with the new details. A great stage enjoyed by all. The simplest stage of them all, Final Destination takes the 4th place position for many of the reasons Battlefield was well liked. Nice competitive layout, good visuals, and any music can be chosen. There isn't much else to be said about Final Destination. It does one thing right, and it does it really well. It's time to jump up in the air, come on now, don't be scared. Our 3rd place position goes to another new arena, the new Donk City Hall from Super Mario Odyssey. Fans of this game love to see it included in the stage lineup, and it comes with some great visuals and fun cameos from both Captain Toad and Pauline. While its gimmick as a moving stage isn't the most competitor friendly, the layouts aren't obnoxious and are fun for more casual play, a great new inclusion to the Super Mario stages. Taking the silver medal, it's the most popular third-party stage on our list and another new entry to the Super Smash Bros. World, Dracula's Castle from Castlevania. The level is a great reference to the franchise, both in its very unique level layout and all of the references that appear throughout, like the montage of bosses that make cameos. It also has access to all of the Castlevania music, which all absolutely slap. The most popular of all the Smash Ultimate originals, Dracula should be proud. Now before we get to number 1, it's time for an ode to those stages that nobody likes. All 2 of them. These were the Metroid stage from Brawl, Norfair, and the new Super Mario Bros. 2 inspired level from Smash for 3DS, Golden Plains. The reason these stages are disliked are certainly because of their gimmicks, but even if you turn hazards off, they have really boring layouts and visuals. There is one other stage as well that we wanted to highlight, and that is Wrecking Crew, the stage inspired by the game of the same name. Because this stage got a single vote, and it was for the Omega version of it, not the default. The takeaway for this is that people don't like its gimmick of the floors falling down one after another, but do like the aesthetic of a big daytime cityscape. It does have a nice view. Speaking of Omega versions, while we are here we just wanted to mention that some people, specifically 0.74% of voters, said that they didn't really care about the specific stage because they only play on Omega or Battlefield forms. For them, these stages are just functions and nothing more. On the flip side of this, 1.64% of all people said they liked every stage and couldn't choose a favourite. Two extremes on display here. So it's a good thing your number 1 pick managed to appeal to all types of players. Welcome to the Fountain of Dreams. We still remember how excited fans of Super Smash Bros. Were when this stage got revealed to be returning. Aesthetically, the Fountain of Dreams is one of the most beautiful stages in the game, from its choice of colour palette, space-inspired skybox, and the reflections in the water. It has a great atmosphere that many enjoy battling on. For the Ultimate version specifically, it has had a great glow up while also being very faithful to the Melee original, with a gimmick that is subtle and not overwhelming, making it competitively viable and casual friendly. All in all, players are just happy to see this stage return, and in glorious HD to boot, making it the most popular stage in all of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And that does it for episode 3 of our Mega Smash Pole miniseries. With characters and stages now done, where could we be going next? If you are one of our patrons, then you'll already know the answer, as the next video will now be available to you. And if you are not a patron, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you don't want to miss out when the next video drops, then might I suggest a good old subscribe? That way YouTube can let you know when it is time that you next returned to the source.